next guest, you know her from the series Dark Angel. Now she stars in the new movie, Honey, which is out now. Say hi to the lovely Jessica Alba. Jessica? What's happening?
A lot.
Most shows, when they book people, usually, like Conan, who people just watched, or The Tonight Show, usually have their bookers call people. When you're on at 1:35 in the morning, you're pretty much down to like guerrilla warfare.
Right.
I pretty much attacked Jessica at a swanky New York party last week.
I wouldn't say attacked.
Yeah, but I think I've never met you, and I think before I even said hi, I was like, will you do the show?
Yeah.
Then I ran into Jeff Gordon while taking a leak, which was just weird in its own right.
Yeah, I just got the visual.
Yeah. I hit him up, he's coming on the show.
While you were taking a leak.
Yeah.
You're like, hey, come do my show.
That's what it's come down to.
Okay.
But that was just last week, so thank you for taking us up on the offer.
No problem.
I found it interesting reading about you, and you can tell me how much it's true, because I was actually a theology major in college, and since I got to MTV, anything you read about me has been sort of blown up that I was, like, you know, like a Jesus freak, or you know how the press can get. But I read about you that you were a born-again Christian in high school. Or I guess around
from age 12 to 16.
How did that happen, and tell me about that time?
Well, my parents were very young when they had my brother and I, so you know, they never really got the partying thing over with. So while I was growing up, you know, they were always partying and would have people over, and they go to clubs and all this. So like my rebellion was to do something completely opposite and to be really straight and have all these rules. And
that's
so
an interesting form of rebellion.
Yeah, I did like the opposite thing.
Like what would you and your teenage friends do that other teenagers?
I never listened to like secular music, and like I would listen only to like
that's crazy.
Gospel music, and I went to church like 3 times a week and only hung out and prayed with my friends, and we went to the beach, and I like didn't wear a bathing suit because I would be like tempting men. Like it's this whole
You're not kidding. No, I see that one by the wayside.
No, it wasn't me specifically. It was like any woman like couldn't do that in the group that I was in specifically. I'm not going to say it's like that.
Because usually that sort of behavior stems from the parents, and then they sort of force their kids to go on a straight and narrow path. But you went that way as a form of rebellion because they were the party animals.
Yeah, they were always
so you were like grounding your parents.
Well, basically, yeah. And then I figured that that wasn't really what I wanted to do, and then they were like, so why aren't you going to church anymore, Jessica?
Like, I've shacked up with the devil now. I've got that Christian crap out of the way.
Right.
Did you go, was there a period of time after you were practicing that lifestyle that you just really went nuts?
Yeah.
And how long of a period? I won't drill you too hard on it.
It wasn't too long. Yeah, it went a little nuts. You know, I was like 17, like.
Because there's just a million things at 17 that you hadn't tried or done.
Yeah, I tried it all.
That must have been one hell of a weekend.
Not a whole lot, I know. I mean, I just, you know, I really actually just became incredibly independent, and kind of moved out and worked and lived in hotels and just got focused in a different way. But yeah, I would go to clubs.
You have a story of like a 38-year-old. How old are you?
I'm 22.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
You got to tell me this story, and then we'll talk about Honey, about when you did 90210, because I can't even believe that this is true. You did a guest spot on it, and then they made you sign some weird contract, because we all grew up watching the show. Yeah. What happened when you did this?
Because, you know, I grew up as well, sort of watching 90210, especially the first like 2 or 3 years. It was really hot, and I was excited to, you know, do the show because I kind of followed it.
It's a big gig too for an up-and-coming actress.
Yeah, it was like a big thing, and it was good money, most important. And
it's good we got our priorities straight.
Yeah, it was really about the money.
Never mind that Jesus stuff.
Yeah.
Payday!
I was over the, no, I was actually still in the Jesus thing at the time. So I went and I did the show, and they made you, like, right when you get to the set, they made me sign this waiver where you're not allowed to talk about any person on the show or any of the character, like, by their name. Like, you couldn't talk about Tori Spelling or about her character's name. You couldn't talk about, you couldn't look at them in the eye.
And they made you sign a contract?
You had to sign a contract. You couldn't look in their direction.
What would they have done if you were, how old were you?
I think they would fine you. There's a $1,500 fine if you talk about anybody on the show or stare at them or look in their direction unless you were spoken to. You cannot speak to them. So I was like sitting there on the set, like, you know, with Jenny Garth. I had to do the scene with her.
You're like, can I look at you now, ma'am?
I was like, okay, they're like rolling. And I was like, okay, so when am I going to be able to actually do the scene? Because I never actually rehearsed the scene with her. And I was like, she's going to hit it. Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
I was like,
it's good to know you feel right at home, Jessica.
Sorry.
Don't, please.
I'm so sorry.
No problem.
I was like, is she gonna get really mad at me if I like look at her in the eyes during the scene? And I play this like, you know, pregnant girl, of course. Then you had like, you know, the 16-year-old Mexican playing the pregnant girl, and you had yeah, and then you had like the white girl coming to save the day,
right.
And you know, take the baby. And so I was like,
oh, those crazy white bitches, you know. That's usually what happens.
Yeah, that's how I felt. I was aware of that stuff even at
No,
16.
I think that's good that you're aware of it.
Yeah. So I looked at her in the eyes, and I was really nervous. That's like there was gonna be security guards coming out to like you know fine me for $1,000 for looking her in the eye.
That is unbelievable.
Yeah, but it didn't happen. They didn't fine me.
So funny, and all like we see like the E! True Hollywood stories of all of those people and why their lives are all screwed up. It's like pretty obvious.
But I met Tori, and she's actually
no, but we hear that
really
crap.
Cool.
Like you can't go onto a set and look at an actor in the eye. That's
or
ridiculous.
even talk. You can't talk about them. Or,
Right, screw them.
Whatever.
Honey is the movie. You play Honey.
Yes.
This is a film that an actress like yourself, I'd imagine, gets a script, and it could be very cheesy. This could be like a big mistake for you to do a film like this.
You're right.
What's the first thing you do to make sure that this comes off cool?
I sat down with the president of Universal and the director and the producer, and I said, it cannot be X, Y, and Z. It has to be this and this and this. And we changed around the script. I mean, in the beginning of the movie, this girl, you know, she's like this struggling dancer from the Bronx, and in the original script, she like rolled up on a Harley Davidson and punched out this girl and battled some guys and break danced and then walked out the club and hopped on her motorcycle.
Right, a real lesbian love story.
Right. I was like, what kind of dancer story? Like, who's gonna want to watch that? It's so
I would actually, but go ahead.
Well, there would be other stuff going on.
Late at night, whatever.
With a couple girls.
So you made a lot of changes to the script?
Yeah, so we made it, I wanted to make a story about, you know, there's so many in the hip-hop community, particularly, you hear about all these people who represent, they're from the West Coast, East Coast, this neighborhood, that neighborhood, but they don't give back to their neighborhoods. And I was like, what about if this girl comes from this neighborhood, she gets a shot, and instead of taking that shot and being fabulous and moving to the Hamptons or wherever, like she stays there and she gives back to the community and she's proud of where she comes from. And so she opens up a dance studio for the kids in the Bronx, and she loves it. And so it has a heart and it has all that stuff. And it's, you know, it's really hot dancing and it's hip hop music and it's kind of a universal theme.
And who else is in it too? There's probably a lot of artists in it.
Yeah, Lil Romeo, Joy Bryant, who was in Antoine Fisher, and Mackay Pfeiffer are like the actors in it. And then we have tons of cameos from Missy Elliott to Genuine, Tweet, Jadakiss and Chic, and you know, a couple of the rappers.
Awesome. Let me just show a quick clip of the movie. It's out now. Here's Jessica Alba and Honey.
I'm a video director, and I'm shooting next week.
Oh, and you want to offer me the privilege of slapping on a thong and shaking my your camera? Thanks, but I'll pass.
What are you doing? He's a director.
Every guy's a director when he wants some booty.
Look, listen. It's a little loud down here, so let's go talk about it up in the VIP lounge.
Oh, man, I heard that. It don't matter where we are. I'm not taking my clothes off.
Boom! You're a sweetheart to be here. Thank you so much. It's great to have you. Jessica Alba, everybody, check out Honey. It's out now. We'll be right back with author Haru Qatar and the music of the Stills.